Yo, this Mehdi Hassan Jubilee is some bullshit. It's great if you want to see how deranged some of our fellow citizens are. A man tells Mehdi in all seriousness he takes schmatzi seriously and is down with dictatorship. People are believing in white genocide. A man tells Monty he's not American and should leave the country and will be the first one who's kicked out when... So now I'm like, wait, is this brother surrounded by white supremacists? Is that what's really happening right now? The general notion that whiteness is superior is very clear from the people in this room. Guys, the idea that you are more American because your family has been here longer is bizarre, bankrupt, and anti-American. And a lot of people who choose to become Americans are much more American and much better for the country than a lot of you native-born. I know when Jubilee casts these things, they're not looking for the best and the brightest. It's not supposed to be a fair fight. So you're kind of the intellectual in there with 20 people who are kind of half-witted. But on this one, did you just like go straight to Charleston and pull him out of the racist parade? Like, what is happening?
So far, every one of my assumptions about you has been correct. But listen to me. I am an immigrant. I'm speaking from personal experience.
Get the hell out.
I don't even like... I should get the hell out.
Yes.
Why? I don't want you here.
The only reason that he said that, outside of being a racist, is because a brown man was able to see through the facade that he created and this country created for him. That British man, Mehdi Hassan, was able to take that man's argument and completely eviscerate it. And then he turned the tables and read him for exactly who he was, an intellectually weak person. And the moment he did that, that's when he started getting uneasy in his chair, fixing his hat, smiling. And that's when he said, you got to get the hell out of here. When people talk about DEI and who's qualified for a specific job, you have to realize that they have been fed a specific lie about who they are. They have been told their entire lives that they are the smartest person in the room. And the moment they're confronted with someone who doesn't look like them or sound like them or share their same beliefs about who they are in the world and the lies that they've been fed, they gotta go.
So this man lost his job after proudly calling himself a fascist on camera. And within a few days, he raised almost 300,000 rand. I don't know how many of you saw this debate the other day. Mehdi Hassan versus about 20 conservative Americans. But this guy became the face of that episode when he sat across from Mehdi, laughed, and basically said, yeah, I'm a fascist. And he meant what he was saying. Now, shortly after this whole interview aired, he lost his job, and rightfully so. But this man who literally called himself a fascist on camera managed to raise nearly $15,000 through, I think, a GoFundMe in just a few days. These extremists, they are not hiding anymore. They are loud and they are proud to be so. But I think most concerning is the support that they now garner. Mind you, support with serious money. The world that we live in is changing, people. Or maybe it's always been like this, I don't know. But now it seems like they feel safe enough to come out and say exactly what they feel. Because there are leaders, presidents, influencers, and entire platforms that either turn a blind eye or are quietly enabling these people for likes, for views, or for votes. Now, social media has given us many things. It's given us entertainment, it's given us education, and it's given us connection. But it's also become a home for extremists like this to gain an audience. A man who believes in a system of absolute authoritarian control, no freedom of speech, state violence against anyone who opposes it, and the worst expressions of racism. A man who believes in that was rewarded for saying that out loud. And the part that should be scaring all of us, these people have access to wealth, they have networks, and they are building momentum. And if we, the people who believe in dignity, in freedom, and in fairness, if we don't start putting in real work to create mechanisms that protect ourselves, our communities, and our children, we may end up crying in our hands sooner than we think. And I hope I'm wrong, but the world is changing. And if we aren't ready, we are going to pay the price. It's already happening right now. Cape Town, don't think that this can't come knocking at your door.
Good evening and good afternoon, Africans. I hope you're faring well where you are, and if you ain't faring well, please fare well where you are. The greater evil, the biggest evil, is always done in the name of good, right? And also remember that the path to hell is paved with good intentions. If you ask those dictators such as Adolf Hitler, Benito Mussolini, Idi Amin, right? Name them all. If you ask them why they did what they did, they have a logical reason to explain. But the logical reason lacks a moral backup. It lacks ethics. So racism is so real that if you protest it, someone thinks that you are not protesting against racism itself, but the system. Because the system in itself is racist. It's a systemic racism. Systemic racism creates room for individual racism. And we know that black people have always suffered systemic racism, right? Up to the level of the individual racism. The system as a whole has made it easier for a white person, another person who thinks that they are superior than black people, come forward, confront the black person, even feel much obligated to take the black person's life, which is not right, right? To them, they think they are doing the right thing. So this journalist went to a debate and he was surrounded by conservatives. Conservatives is just a good name of calling someone a racist, right? So these conservatives have come up front and they are challenging Mehdi. Of course, it's an open debate, but the mindset they are producing over there is just a reflection of what the government thinks of them, of what the government in totality, the system itself, thinks of those people who are marginalized, like the blacks, the Latinas, the Muslims, the Arabs, name it all. Everyone who is marginalized. These people have always been against them. It's so interesting that it shows clearly that America indeed is infested. In fact, it is full-blown racist country. The conservatives are saying America is a land of opportunity. One of the claims they make is America is not a racist country, which is very wrong. Slavery ended 150 years ago. Very, very wrong. Everyone has equal opportunity in America. We know very much how wrong this is. The Black Lives Matter movement is a Marxist movement, right? How can BLM be a Marxist movement? It doesn't make sense. I don't see any truth in it. I don't want to spoil it for you. I want us to watch Mehdi give his perspective. Then I shall get back by the end of the video, where I shall also share with you my deep critical analysis. Let's dive in. Watching this video, I've come to understand that all this was a clash of ideologies. The evil ideologies that we humans can have against other humans as well, right? Remember, you are what you think. What you think is what you become, actually. You start thinking of evil things, the next day you become evil. You show me your friends, I will tell you who you are very quickly. It's true, the person who said that wasn't a fool. Show me your friends, I tell you who you are. Mehdi was a single man who I believed represented the marginalized community. Because as he said, he himself is an immigrant from India. His parents were from India and they came to the USA, right? I believe so many people went to the USA whose parents were really not US citizens. Even Trump himself was from Germany. Majority of white people were not from America, they were from Europe. They moved there many years ago, right? But they still, some of them still feel they are the owners of that land, and you've seen that. So here's my deep critical analysis, as I promised. I remember this was all but a clash of ideologies, and what you think is what you become or what you are. So in the increasingly polarized media, the landscape of the United States, there is a journalist, we've known him by now as Mehdi Hasan, stands out as a sharp, relentless, and unapologetically intellectual individual. You see, Mehdi Hasan is a British-American Muslim journalist of Indian descent. Hasan often confronts conservative ideologies head-on, especially on topics such as racism, immigration, inequality, gun control, and the role of the government, right? His debates with white American conservatives are not mere shouting matches, but intricate battles of logic, facts, and moral arguments, you know? That's who Mehdi Hasan is, right? So the first thing is his style and substance, right? His approach to the debate. Hasan himself is known for fast-paced forensic style of questioning, often described as prosecutional. Unlike many liberal commentators who attempt to maintain both sides' neutrality, Hasan pushes hard against what he sees as a moral and factual inconsistency in conservative arguments. His debates with white conservatives frequently draw attention to how American conservatism resists acknowledging racial injustice, wealth inequality, and systemic barriers. So Mehdi Hasan's style, however, often draws criticism from his opponents who label him as combative or aggressive, or revealing other layer of coded language that is often reserved for non-white voices who refuse to play into the politics of the civility, the American civility. So a recurring theme in all this was between Hasan and the conservative guest is the existence or denial of systemic racism. These individuals were trying to deny it exists. You see, the moment you deny something exists, you make it, you give it a permission to continue existing, because you can't stop what you don't know exists, right? So Hasan has cited data, historical evidence, and recent events such as police shooting, voter suppression laws, and wealth gaps to highlight how racism is deeply embedded in American institutions. Median black family holds about 10% of the wealth of the median white family. The guest attempted to attribute these to personal choices, dismissing the idea of historical disadvantages. Hasan responded by tracing a direct line from slavery to Jim Crow, to redlining, to modern-day credit discrimination. His argument has exposed how refusing to see the continuity of oppression itself is a form of complicity. Yeah, it's true, it's true. You deny. They have denied effects of slavery to the black people, effects of Jim Crow's policies to the black people. We've had the redlining, right? We've had the modern-day credit discrimination, right? And Mehdi Hasan also said that 10%, you see, a median black family holds a wealth that is 10%, only 10%, that of a median white family. And then someone wants to say that black people are lazy, or black people don't want to work hard, or maybe they didn't have enough education to offer them the same opportunity, which I think is a total lie, right? It's just a racist system that favors one particular race over the other. See, the American rights has in recent years leaned heavily into culture war politics, banning critical race theory, attacking diversity and inclusion programs, and underlining efforts towards racial injustices. In these debates, Mehdi Hassan has often pointed out that these so-called anti-woke policies are veiled attempts to reserve or to reverse civil rights gains. For Black Americans, these politics are not abstract. They translate to these: underfunded schools in Black neighborhoods due to conservative tax cuttings. We've also had criminal justice policies that disproportionately jail Black men, right? We've also seen hostility to affirmative actions, closing doors to opportunity that would have otherwise benefited the Black Americans. You see, Hassan's debates have frequently exposed how conservative ideologies is less about conserving tradition and about preserving power structures, even at the expense of racial justice. So the conservative is just a blanket name, or it's just a mask to cover off, or rather to cover the ugly face of preserving power, to cover the ugly face of oppressing Black people and the marginalized communities in the US, right? So this conservative thing is not about tradition, no. It's about preserving power. Maybe the tradition is about oppression. Then it is doing what it is supposed to do. You see, another thing which I noticed is one of the most contentious areas in Mehdi Hassan's debate was when is the topic of policing and mass incarceration. He often pointed out that Black Americans are first most likely to be stopped, searched, and killed by the cops, right? Most likely to face longer prison sentences for the same crimes as a white counterpart, right? Black people are victims of a justice system designed to control, not protect them. In contrast, conservative commentators often defend the police They say that the police uphold law and order. But is it really law and order when we have same crime, different sentencing? Is it really order when we have you are stopping one particular race more than the others? Is it really law and order when a certain group of people are victims of justice? I think there is no law and order in that, right? So the conservatives are so much lying about this, right? And they blame Black crimes rates on family breakdown or urban culture. You see, they go ahead and blame it on the Black people are doing more crimes than us because their families are broken. Come on. Tell me. I think the whites have more, not the whites really, it sounds, let me put it in the right way. The people who are saying this, because not all Blacks are good, not all whites are good. So the whites who are trying to place it like it's the Black problem, I think divorce is something that affects the entire humanity. It's not a certain group or, no. It's not family. Family affects everyone. There's no particular race that suffers more than the other. I don't believe so. You see, this difference reflects an ideological chasm about the role of the state. While conservatives want aggressive policing of Black and poor communities, Mehdi Hassan has argued that these communities Hassan argues that what these communities need are investment, opportunity, and dignity. Hassan has really spoken well of the marginalized communities. Also, he talked about immigration, identity, and whiteness. You see, Mehdi himself, as a Muslim immigrant, he has often entered debates where the fear of the other immigrants, right? Muslims, people of color, is central to conservative thinking. Many conservative narratives revolve around the browning of America, replacement theory, and the idea that America is being taken away from its white Christian roots. Mehdi Hassan has challenged this by pointing out the historical fiction embedded in these fears, America, he argues, was never a white-only country. It was built by stolen labor, which are the black slaves on stolen land from the indigenous people, the Red Indians. And America has always been multicultural. Yet, in conservative debates, he encounters resistance to the idea of inclusive patriotism, a vision or rather a version of America where equality is real, not symbolic, right? So America has always been multicultural, but the conservatives are saying that America is being robbed of its Christian roots, right? Of its indigenous or rather of its values. You see, I don't think the Red Indians were Christians at first. They practiced whatever they practiced. Because even in Africa, some parts of Africa, Christianity arrived by the, by the Europeans, by the missionaries, right? They came here through that. It's not like we were born here and we found, no. There's a time when Christianity was not there. So it was brought by a ship, right? So America cannot be, they can't say that it's being robbed of its Christian roots. No, that's a lie. That's a total lie. So Mehdi also touched on media and misinformation. Hassan also critiques how right-wing media distorts reality. We have Fox News, talk radio, and conservative platforms frequently peddle misinformation, which shapes the worldview of millions of Americans, often turning them against Black Lives Matter, anti-racist education, or basic health policies. Mehdi Hassan's confrontation exposes these falsehoods, especially those used to justify police violence or oppose reparations. He understands that narrative control is power, and so he uses his platform to unmask lies and elevate marginalized truths, right? Another thing he touches is the case for Black Americans and a moral and political reckoning. At the heart of Mehdi Hassan's argument is this question: how can a country claim to be free and equal when it continues to fail one of its most foundational population? You see, Black Americans have fought in every war. Black Americans have built the nation's economy through unpaid labor. Black Americans have led moral movements from abolition to slave rights to Black Lives Matter. Black Americans have created cultural expression that define American identity through music, language, and style. Yet, the Black Americans remain structurally disadvantaged in the USA. Mehdi Hassan argued that conservative ideology rooted in rugged individualism and historical amnesia perpetuates this injustice. He presents a case for reparations, transformative justice, and acknowledgement, not just as a political necessity, but as a moral reckoning, right? So that's how the debate was. That's how it was flowing. The deep thing here is people pretending that they are doing good, but in the other side, they are doing evil, and they are oppressing people in the event of them doing so, right? So you might ask yourself, why does it matter to have the debate? Why did Hassan roast himself in such a space? Here is why. Mehdi Hassan's debate with white conservatives are not just political theater. They represent the deeper conflict over America's soul, a struggle between a mythic past and an honest future. In many ways, these exchanges reflect the larger battle for truth in an era of lies, for injustice in an era of spin, and for Black Americans. These debates are not just philosophical, they are existential. Hassan's insistence on facts, history, and human dignity forces the nation to confront itself, and though he may not always win in the court of public opinion, he consistently reveals the fault lines of a nation still deeply divided, not just by policies, but by race, memory, and morality. That's true. That's very, very true. Right now, I want you to look back. I want you to ask yourself, the United States of America is a Christian-dominated country, but not purely Christian, just dominated. And it's a country that always say they are the perfect example of morality, of democracy, of human rights. Yet we are still having these debates. We are still having people having that kind of mindset like the conservatives were. The people who believe they are more important than other people. You know, they are more equal. Yeah, people are equal, they say, but they add a certain line, we are more equal than you. What is the meaning of more equal? Is that not injustice? Is that not racism? I believe it is racism. I believe it is an injustice. Yes. Share with me your thoughts on what you think. And if you value what I do, subscribe to the channel. Support me on Patreon. It really helps me a lot to bring you good content. Thanks a lot for those who have supported us. And see you in the next one. Stay positive, stay wise. See you in the next one.